Hello, everyone. Good evening. If you are new here, I'm Roxanne. This is everything about Hallmark, but the podcast is called Chat with Roxanne. So, yeah, I haven't said that in a long time. And I noticed there are some new people. So I'm just saying hello. And we're going to get started because there was a lot to talk about in this episode. And I didn't think there was, but there really was. There really is. Okay. So just saying hi to everyone while you all pop in. Hi, Christina, you're here. Hi, Lillian. I hope you're feeling better. Yes. Hello, hello. I think Avis, if you're here, has been married a long time. She's celebrating her anniversary. I forget what it was. Over 50 years, I think, right? Let me look it up. Avis. Avis is celebrating 52 years of marriage to Ricky. So congratulations. Some people can't even go 52 days. And you went 52 years. You're going 52 years. That's marvelous. Okay, nice. Hello, everyone. And Christina and Chris, they just had a birthday, if you don't already know. So they are 39 again. Yes, they're 39 forever. That's what I say. I'm 39 forever. Yes, 52. That's wild. All right. So I thought that I usually have like this way of in my mind of how I'm laying things out. And I just wanted to go a different route. There were so many little things that I loved in this episode, little pieces of dialogue, just little details. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Allie wrote this, and she's that kind of a writer. She pays attention to details, and you find it in like actions and dialogue and little things that get slipped in, which I like. So, first of all, I want to start off with the Garrison guy. That's what I'm calling him. So, he was introduced. And of course, we don't really know his name, but we can kind of figure out who he is. And I love that he was doing that bell. Remember, ding, 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 ding on the bell. And you see Hickam move the bell and say, yes, hello. I was a bit busy. I just like the whole comedic timing these two had. And he's like, no, Hickam's like, no luggage to check in. And he goes, do you see any? He was just rude. And then the next time we see him, he's over there talking on the phone in the mercantile. And there's, Molly listening, lurking around. He goes, like he shoos her away. He makes it known that he knows she's trying to eavesdrop, which I thought is great. And she does kind of get, him saying, I can only, pay for one room. I'll show you how to, sneak in from the balcony. So this guy's like a piece of work. And he's been lurking around and listening. And we find out for next episode that, his brother breaks him out of jail, and the Garrison gang's there, and they're there to get their money. And somehow they said townsfolk get caught in the crosshairs. We definitely know Ollie and Ollie. That's what they call them, Oliver and Allie. They are somehow involved, and that's next episode, which I'm going to talk about the order of episodes because I pointed that out last night, and then no sooner I pointed out, Hallmark is out there explaining how they put them out in the wrong order, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So anyway, that was one of the things that I absolutely loved. Yes, Lucy, Molly being Molly, which I love. And I wish we saw much more of Molly. I hope that the reason why we didn't see much of Molly this season, all the way up to episode 8, is because I think that she is busy as an actress. I would love that. Busy doing other projects. That's what I want to say in my mind. And that is what I hope for her because she's a doll. Okay. Mary, I know this is funny. Mary. No luggage, and Ava has a trunk, but it's not even her trunk. Ava has secrets. Could she also be Rosemary's half sister? I would tie in with Rosemary and her mother. So a family series. What episodes were out of order? I'll explain that when the time comes. You can't rush me because then I get annoyed. There will be no rushing of me. No. Okay, so that ties in, Mary, to something I wanted to talk about. It's not one of my loves. That's one of my observations or notes. So I'm going to come back to that, okay? Because I got to keep my train of thought. So Yes, Molly gets a scene. She does. Yay! I wish she got a scene with Jed. But they did mention him and saying that he was on the radio and talking about fertilization, and that was a snore fest, is basically what Rosemary said. Rosemary's meanie sometimes. All right, so the whole Garrison guy, he is great. I love him. I hope they're like, the Keystone Cops kind of, not Keystone Cops though, but Keystone Cop-ish, like dumb. There's some dumb and funny um when the Garrison gang gets together, plus some scary. I don't know if they can really do scary, but I would like it. Yes, I need a flow chart for this season, Curry. I hear you, but we're gonna make do. So there's my list, checking it off. Okay. The other thing that I loved was Nathan's reaction to when Elizabeth was all whiny and he was talking about like be a little sassy like Diane. And she goes, would you rather I be more like Diane? He's like with that smirk. He looks so cute with it. Well, no, but I'm kind of excited or glad that I know she's in there. Like I thought that was funny and very Kevin McGarry-ish. And like I told you, the Nathan of this season is my favorite Nathan. He is my ultimate favorite. I didn't like him when I first met him because he was a jerk and he blamed everybody for all kinds of stuff, for his daughter and how she was being raised, and blamed Lucas, blamed Elizabeth, blamed all kinds of people. But then I don't know, he kind of grew on me, but I really love him this season. I also love that there he is. He's the man of the hour. He's cooking dinner for the family because his girls weren't feeling it and they were sad. He made stew, which by the week is next week's recipe. I'm going to do stew. But anyway, I love that. I thought it was cute. And it was the first time where I saw like actual, for me, chemistry between them in that scene. That was just me. Finally, I saw some stuff. But then again, it was more Kevin McGarry than Nathan Grant, but Nathan Grant's changing and he's got a little softer side to him. And I do like his humor now. I don't know how you're all feeling about that, but that was my one of my loves. So another thing that I really loved, I actually kind of laughed out loud. Let's see. I want to hear what people are saying. Yes. Wait a minute. Hold on. Well, of course he's happy now. He got what he wanted. He did. He's loved her forever. That's never changed. That is writing that stayed from the moment we met him until now. That is writing that it didn't matter who was the writer or the showrunner. They kept that running theme for him. So we have to give them that. They did. The rest of it, no, but that was true. Mary, feisty Elizabeth might be better than meddling Elizabeth. Okay. Yes. She was kind of like sassy and I don't know what else they might want to say. I thought that was a great line of Nathan's. Yes, I agree. So did I. And Bryce says this season has been good so far. Okay. Now, the other thing that I love that I actually laughed out loud because he's such a character and it reminds me of what I would tell my theater students, that sometimes when they had a bigger part one year and then the next play comes along and they don't have a really big part, but they've got this part that they make their own and they make it memorable, even if they're only on stage for all of, 2 minutes. That's the character of Ned this season. Like one of the things I loved is like, he's all excited and he's standing on top of the balcony and he releases the banner for the radio show because it was Elizabeth's idea, and Elizabeth's standing out there with Rosemary, and he sees Rosemary's reaction. He's like slowly stepping back and inching his way and disconnecting from that situation. Love it. He's fantastic. And then he was the sound effect guy for the play with the clap, 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 and into the radio. And it was funny. And just how they were, gave him and he's like, oh, yeah. I don't know. Ned and his reactions, I think they were adorable. Let's see. Agree, Nikki. Couldn't he find his own girl? Well, listen, Lucy. He's not real. This is how the writers wrote it. So we're going to not even go there. Hi, Kathy. Kathy, I'm glad you're here. Too bad Nathan had to stab Lucas in the back to get his happy. Yeah, again, I didn't like how he behaved. This is a different Nathan, but I understand. That's how they wrote it. Yes. Cindy, my MVP of this episode goes to Ned for his sound effects. He was great. That was one of my loves. Loved the whole bad Garrison guy because he was comical, because he was just so out there, rude, didn't hide a thing, which didn't make him blend in well. Nathan's reaction to the whole Diane, Ned and the sound effects. And this is like so great that they did this. They must have had a behind the scenes chuckle. And thank you, Allie, for this. So they had the play, and they needed someone to play a big part, and they chose Minnie. And she's like, does her accent, and they're like, oh my God, Minnie, it's so great, because that's Natasha's real accent. So she got to speak in her real accent, and they made it part of the show, which gave me like a thrill. I thought that was hilarious. I don't know. I think most of you know because you've seen her on interviews, but she's an English accent, or British accent, which is so great. Yes. Love Natasha. Her own accent, Carrie. I know. Yeah. Yes. Oh, and will Rosemary ever give up her makeup phone? No. And that was something else I liked about Rosemary. I didn't like how they over dramatized her going, couldn't get the words out. That was a little too much for me. But I like the idea of when she was talking to Ava and she just couldn't do it, couldn't make her be the star. And Elizabeth is trying to coax her. And then when she walks away, she's like, oh, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Like she knew that about herself. Then eventually she does ask her. Okay. Now, this was great. The three guys who are sick are in the back. I think it looked like a back office because it had that same coloring of the hotel. And they're back there all listening, and they're all and Bill wipes his nose on Hickham's shoulder and then leans on Hickham's like looking over. That was great. And I wish I knew if that was written or something they chose to do. And I would love to have those three men on just so we could talk about those antics. Like, here, this is great. Look at this. I'm going to add this on. Look at them. They dug up their swimsuits, and there they are, all wrapped up because they went to the hot springs to feel better. Oh my gosh. And then the three of them on that little couch listening to the radio show and how they behaved. I want to know if it was scripted or they just said, these are three exceptional actors, let it fly. And the things, like, I have not seen a lot of Hickam, and I love Hickam and May together. I love them. And the little bit I get to see of them, like, they're very connected. He's always looking to her to be reassured, and she's looking to him. And I also loved the long, big hug that the two BFFs gave each other, which was Hickam and Fiona when she was finally leaving. She hugged her BFFs, which are May and Faith, and then him. He was last. And two of her best friends got to marry each other, which is a cool thing too. But anyway, that they were great. And did we realize, look at her costume. This is great. Flo is wearing the costume, that coat, which was, I think, from season 2 that Rosemary always wore. And Pascal was pregnant. That's part of the reason why she had that giant coat on. And they have not Rosemary, they have Flo in it. They have Florence in it, which is great. And I think that's why Pascal's standing there and pointing at her, which I think is great. Here they're in the infirmary, Nikki. Yes. But when they were sitting on the couch together, listening to the radio show, it looked like with the background color and stuff that they were in some part of the hotel. I could be totally wrong, but that's what I thought. Minnie was great. I love the props and the costumes for the radio show. So did I. Yes. Yes, Lillian, they do. And she's such a good actress. She doesn't need to overact. But I also feel like that's happening to Elizabeth too. And Erin is a phenomenal actress too. Joseph doing his British accent was hilarious. And Nikki says, if I lived in Hope Valley, I would burn that makeup phone. And Cindy says, Rosemary doesn't need a megaphone. Lucy, oh, that was so cute of Minnie. I know. Oh, they were in Bill's office. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie, Lillian, you always know those little tiny details. Because I couldn't tell by the color of the background, but that makes sense because where would they be in the hotel? They're not going to be in Lucas's office. He was in that office. I don't know where he wasn't even at the play, which is weird, but we'll get to that. All right. Thank you, Carrie. Okay. That was good. All right. Now, those are my loves. And I think I have another love. Um, um, this is my other love. Joseph and Minnie's relationship is beautiful, and I wish we saw more of it. And they're extremely supportive of each other. And I like when he's telling her, "You can do this," you because she got nervous and stage fright. And he's like, "You could do this. You could do." Of course, I'm paraphrasing. "You could do anything." He goes, "Well, except garden. You can't garden." She's like, "What do you mean I can't garden?" He goes, "You can't garden." You know what I mean? I just love it. Those two are like adorable, and all these little peppered in one-liners and just made the episode fun for me. Now, there was a lot that I loathed, but those are all the things that I loved. And that's just me. These are my opinions. Let's see. What do we got here? Here's Caroline. Carolyn, I love the whole show, episode 8, as it included everyone. It was full of love and laughter. Please have faith. We only have 4 episodes to go before the end of the season. I don't know what the faith is for, what we have faith for, but okay. Let's see. Honestly, here we go. EA. Hi, EA. Honestly, I love all of the friendships and the partnerships this season. If I'm being picky, I could say what I would change, but the reality is that I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it better. Okay. I do like all of the relationships except for the biggest relationship. I'm not feeling Elizabeth and Nathan. They just don't have, I don't know. It's like I have talked about this before. It doesn't seem like it comes easy, but I do love Nathan. I love him. I love him as the character. Martha, why have we not seen more of the Canfields? I don't know. And we're going to talk about that. I promise it's coming. Yes, it's almost as if he's not allowed to mingle with the townsfolk. I have a theory, and I feel like they want those two to have their own little world almost. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm coming. I promise. There's a lot I'm coming to. You're out of my sync here. Yes. Nikki says, yes, love Joseph and Minnie. I'm disappointed that they have dropped Angela's story about going away to school. Needed to see that story. Nikki, they didn't drop it. It's coming. They did not drop it. It's coming up. I hope that at some point they recognize Joseph and Minnie have been married 20 years. Yes. And the role reversal of the women taking over was fun. Yes. We know, Lucas. We get that, Martha. I hear you. It's like, that's why I dedicate a separate day for a lot of that. They don't have lead couple chemistry. They don't, but a lot of people are okay with it. I know I'm going to miss Fiona, but I feel like she'll be back. She'll be back every once in a while. I really thought that she'd only be back for one episode because we knew what she was doing last season. I was surprised they gave her so much screen time. Yeah. All right. Did we see other children this episode? Saw too much of Allie and Oliver. One scene with little Jack. Yes. And no, we didn't really see anybody else. Okay, so now let me talk about my notes. These are just things that I've been recognizing. Suddenly, which we never heard about the hot springs, not one time last season, not once. I kept saying it on social media, as did other people. Hot springs, what happened to them? Hot springs. They can't even throw it in. Like, we're going to the hot springs, even though I know they dismantled the whole set and all that, but you can't, like, where's the continuity? And we complained about it, right? Well, they've been mentioning the hot springs. Elizabeth and Nathan were going to go to the hot springs with the kids. And then when the kids were going to go, they were going to go. But then, that got derailed. They mentioned the hot springs again. When the guests come in, I think it was the Garrison guy, Hickam says, oh yeah, the map, and there's the hot springs. And then of course, go into the hot springs. And they actually got them in their bathing suits because it would help with their vocal cords, or they weren't feeling well and all that other stuff, right? Well, Cindy, the hot springs themselves weren't kaput because they got that all fixed and restored. But the set in real life was really, yes, done. Maybe now the TN fans will drop pushing the Lucas and Fiona relationship. I didn't know TN fans were really pushing that. Anyway, but that's okay. All right, so the hot springs. Now, also, someone mentioned something about Ava. I truly thought that Ava and the Wyatt boy and all the Garrison gang, I thought it was all going to be connected with the coin. And I'm not so sure now that I think Ava is connected with that. I definitely know that she does not have any money, that she's constantly lying, and they make her such a bad liar too. So I don't know. And I'm going to tell you what made me feel that way is when I talk about the order of the next episodes. So that's just I'm kind of shifting. It's a note I'm making. I don't know what the rest of you think. Yes, there are too many people. Yes, Mary. Henry says the bullies make mistakes. Is that the McGinty's? Yes, it's not the Garrison. It's McGinty. Yep. And Leona was only there so she and Elizabeth could have the on paper conversation. Yeah, well, I'll get to that. Hot Springs is a guest star. It is. It should be on the billing. Yeah. I know they still have no spark. Elizabeth's conversation with Fiona was so weird. She didn't even say Lucas's name. She didn't, and that's on purpose. But we'll get that. Ava is a needless character. Nothing against the actress. Okay, I got you. We're going to talk about it. All right, kids. This is another note. Why do we have children, young adults like Oliver and Allie solving big financial problems that adults solve? I don't care if you're a genius. It just is weird. And that gives them way more screen time, which kind of blows my mind when we could have, I don't know, other characters solving this problem. So what I loved about it though was keeping in character of the character Lucas, where McGinty kind of is very rude and wants to, get rid of the kids and the juveniles or the adolescents, as he says. And Lucas says, "Excuse me, they're my guests." And he gets that look on his face and he means business, but he's still respectful. Love that. I love that. And Martha, yes, it's a bad dream. It's a nightmare. So that was a note that I wanted to pull out. Another note is it's very obvious that Edie has a crush on Lucas. I'm not saying Lucas is feeling it for her, but Edie has a crush. And let's face it, how could she not have a crush on that man? He's very respectful to her. He treats her like an equal. He's handsome. And did I mention he's handsome? So anyway, I could see where she would have a crush on him. And it's cute because she not only wanted to protect, and he goes, "I understand reputation. You wanted to protect your uncle's reputation." And she's like, "I wanted to protect yours." And he looks at her and she kind of like, and your reputation. And, she kind of like had to move on. So I like it. I like it. I like it. I like that she has a crush on him. Like I had said before, I would like Lucas to have options. I don't mean he's a man around the town. People started getting crazy over that. But I just mean that maybe this woman has a crush on him. And why can't down the road someone else sort of have a crush on him? And not that they make it a big storyline, but that he's, the women are like, this is a good catch. This is a good man. And how could they not, that kind of thing. All right. Where in the world is Georgie? That's my other note. What happened to her? People are brought in one episode. She knows that the Garrison gang's around. Why isn't she doing Garrison gang stuff? Why do we don't see it? Instead, we see, Luke, them dancing and singing. I don't know what that was for. We talked about that. I just thought, okay, like we went from one thing to another and we still don't see her. I know she's coming, but when? Okay, now, Edie is starting to fall for Lucas. Yes, she is. Georgie is coming back. Yes, she is. I know, but it's so weird that she hasn't been there, okay? It was like she was there two, 3 episodes, and then she finally comes back. And Lucy, so weird that those young people are solving adult problems. Yes. I don't know if it's a crush, but I think Lucas is definitely intrigued by her. Yes, yes, he is. And I don't think he's got a crush on her, but she got a crush on him. Yes, and I love, again, for the little dialogue where he's in there and he's like, he looks at her when they're having that they're going to vote with the cattle association, the ranchers. And he's like, let's rope this in. Like, I helped you rope your calf. And she kind of like, mm, mm, mm. And when she was out there talking, not to him, but when she was talking, when McGinty was off to the side, she had her hand like this over her ring. But later on, when she was in his office, she didn't do that. And he says, I know you're telling me the truth right now, which I think is kind of cool. And they put the loan shark. He's a loan shark, McGinty. I have a prediction about him. So here's my prediction about McGinty. I think that, and maybe you could, come in with me and tell me what you think. I think that what's going to happen is they're going to figure out that he's been sabotaging, the area or the pathways so that the ranchers have to use his meadow. He's making it so that they have to, and otherwise they wouldn't even bother and then wouldn't have to pay him anything. I think that part of the dragging of remember he was on the horse and they saw the spurs and Allie notices it, which I think is so weird. She kind of announces it and then Lucas doesn't say anything. It's not like he couldn't hear her. He was standing right near her when they were having that meeting, but McGinty knew what she might say and Oliver cut her down. I think that he's been sabotaging the area and that's all going to come to a head. And of course, it's going to have a good turnout because that meadow is going to be opened or those trails are going to be opened. All of the animals will be okay and the cattle will be able to roam. That's what I think is going to happen. And it'll be a mystery. And do you think he's involved in any way, shape, or form with the Garrison gang? What do you think? Or do you think those are two separate things? Nikki's like, who doesn't have a crush on our gorgeous Lucas? Elizabeth is the only idiot that would let a man like Lucas go. Oh, God. You felt bad for Edie in this episode. So did I. I did too. And yes, Martha, the writing is kind of like all over the place. I know. When Edie came out of the office with Nathan and Bill, I thought her Uncle Ed may not be dead. Oh, no, I think he's dead. I think Uncle Ed is dead because Ed is dead. He said like he made her promise that she would protect the name. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's talk about this leads to some other things, my outrages. But before I get to the outrages, I want to talk to you about what happened was the official order of the next episodes came out. And if you were on my podcast last night, I was going over them and saying something is wrong here, right? I was saying that the way they did it, they were saying the last episode was Lucas and it was the last episode was them throwing a harvest festival. And I was like, how can that be when the episode before that is spring and graduation? So here's how it goes. So the next episode is, I think, what is this? 9, 10, 11, 12. Next one is called Buried Treasure. And this is the Garrison gang shows up. And it says that, while they're doing their thing, that some of the townsfolk get caught in their crosshairs, which we know Allie and Oliver do. And then people are going to the rescue. You even see Elizabeth getting on her horse. Really? You're going to get on your horse with the Garrison gang that were put away and were so bad and all that other stuff? Okay. Now, someone was like the storyline that had to do with Angela. Angela goes and visits the school that she wants to stay in. She goes with her parents, which is a good thing. And Rosemary, I always call her Rosie, she discovers something about Ava. So that's what was making me think when I see that up in here. I'm wondering if she really is connected, because so many of us thought she was connected to the Garrison gang, or is it more leaning towards maybe she has something to do with Rosemary in her past? I don't know. That was I'm going back and forth with that. Let's see. Edwin's face every time the cattleman path is mentioned with Allie and Oliver gave me a feeling he knows what McGinty's been doing all along. I don't know. I think he was just cringy because they were stepping all over their toes and their kids. Yeah. And Joanne, maybe you could be right though, Arlene. McGinty, I'm thinking that maybe McGinty is actually the one who sold the coins to Todd and he just used Ernie's name in case the gang tries to trace it. Oh, Joanne. I like that. Okay. And Teresa saying, I knew you would understand. Oh, yeah. I think it was the reference Teresa was making about the type of woman that Lucas needs. A good vampy woman to bring out his bad boy persona for just a nanosecond. Oh, come on. I'm old, not dead. You know what? Listen. Yes. And she kind of does already. So this is what I like about them. Didn't Edie say something after coming out of the hotel when Nathan talked to her about what Toddy told he and Elizabeth, that the old man who died a year ago was involved in the coin robbery in a way? Yes. But it wasn't out of the hotel. She got called in to about the investigation. And yes, they called her in because Toddy said, and there was only one deceased rancher that was from Benson Hills, and that was the what is her Edie's uncle, and that's why they called her, because she's the heir. Yes, yep, his ranch. Yes, apparently had some coins on it, and somehow, some way, they went kaputty because they stopped circulating, and that's because he died. Yeah. She walked out and said, "Oh, Ernie, what have you gotten us into now? Sounds like this is new information to Edie." Oh, it is. She didn't know. Yep. She had no idea about that. No. And I think it's funny because do you remember Edie saying, my uncle, he used to love to make these little scavenger hunts for me when I would come stay? So he's the kind of guy that likes to hide stuff. So, and do things like that. So I think somehow, some way he's involved. I don't know how, but I think he is. Hi, Roxanne. I still think Evie is Rosemary's sister. Yes. Eva, Ava, maybe Lisa, because I didn't think so, but I don't know. Maybe I'm shifting my idea. Yes, Lillian. Of course, Elizabeth bouncing around on Sergeant going after bad guys while her young son stays home. Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah. Yes, and Nikki, I think that Edwin doesn't like the kids, and this is interfering with his plans for the governor. Yes, you are correct. All right, now that's the next episode. But what kills me is that, so the Garrison gang's going to be there, right? Then what? They're gone. Okay, they solve it. They get arrested. What happens? Because the next episode is called Through the Valley, and it says they throw a harvest party for Mike and May throw a harvest party. So now we're getting into the winter time. I mean the colder times. Before they had that as last. That's why I said there's something wrong. So that one is actually episode 10. And Elizabeth helps Emily find her purpose. So, okay, that's what kind of was there. And it also says that the land dispute around McGinty Meadow, I guess it intensifies. So first we've got the Garrison gang. Then I don't know what happens to them, because in the next episode, there's still a land dispute about McGinty's Meadow, and it intensifies. That's still dragging on. The Garrison gang hid the stolen coins on Edie's uncle's ranch, and the uncle found them and moved them. Garrison is back to find them. Yes, we know. Yes. But the thing is that I think it's funny because he likes to hide things. And I'm wondering exactly how he is involved, right? Okay, so then all of a sudden they're gone, the Garrison gang, and the next episode is about the land dispute again. I don't know. That's what the whole synopsis says. Now, episode 11 is called Having Faith. Now we've got little Jack ill, and Mike and May are racing to get medicine. And the kids, to cheer up everybody, do a baseball game on the radio. But we go through Garrison gang, this whole land dispute, and now we've got this as our focus. And then the last one is Must Be Gold. Nathan and Elizabeth talk about their summer. Graduation happens for the kiddos. Emily's graduating, as is, I think it's Angela too. And then it says that Edie and Lucas race Rosemary and Bill for the gold. Why? It's not theirs. What's the race for? Why would they have to get to the gold, Edie and Lucas, before Rosemary and Bill? Like it doesn't belong to anybody. Why aren't they all working together? What in the world does that mean? So that's things that are like perturbing me. It's leaning towards perturbing. And are they losing it, the writers? I'm not sure. The harvest could be a spring harvest. It's not. It's not a spring harvest. Doesn't necessarily have to be a fall harvest. It is. It is the fall. It's not the spring. I forget exactly how that it's worded, but I know that it's fall time. And it didn't make sense the way they had it as the last episode, but they corrected that. No sooner did I say that with the podcast than an official correction came out. So those are the orders of what's happening. Garrison gang, then the harvest party and the big land dispute over the meadow, it is big. And then the next one is little Jack is ill. And then the last one is this big race that Edie and Lucas are teamed up with to go against Bill and Rosemary. Don't even understand why, but we'll see how they're going to pull that together. Going for the gold. You got that. Maybe they dance at the festival. I'm pretty sure they will. Yeah. I thought I heard a while back that Edie and Lucas would dance together. He said he does put on dancing shoes, but he was kind of like cagey about it. So maybe they'll be there because they haven't been to anything that the entire town has been to. So maybe this is their chance, and that would be fun. All right. So I predicted the McGinty thing, right? Now, here are the things that outraged me. Here they come. Yes, maybe they dance where? Yes, at the Harvest Festival. Yes, maybe they do. Here are some of the things that outraged me. One, Fiona's best friend is Faith. And Fiona and Faith should have the conversation about her saying yes and then deciding she wants to break up, but she said, I can't do it. It's too late. Faith would have had a great conversation with her. I would have loved to have that interaction. Instead, they have Elizabeth coming in to thank Fiona for, the opportunity to have her curriculum discussed on the air and for trying to get it published and showing her all the fancy great letters that she received. And then Fiona says that's too late. And Elizabeth says, I know what it's like to be in that situation, right? And then she says, when it looked good on paper, but my heart was telling me something else. What? Who wrote that? I know who wrote it, but it doesn't make sense. And then she says, my heart was telling me something else. And she mumbled it. He deserved better. Well, yeah, we know he deserved better, but I wish they didn't even go there. I would either do it right or don't do it at all. And I felt like they didn't do it at all. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but let's see. No, Lillian, I'll read them again to you, but I wanted to move on and I'll come back to that. With a fiance too. Yes, she did. They did together. Yes, because she wanted different things. Yes. Yeah. So, okay, now we're moving from that. That irked me. Here's the other thing that irked me. Elizabeth's curriculum. Why do we have to have Elizabeth's curriculum and spend time on that when there are such little screen time for so many other actors? Sorry, I'm clapping. Why? I understand that this is a story about Elizabeth and her, and if she was going to have something to have a storyline for, then Elizabeth should be with the children and the kids should be in the storyline. She should be helping somebody that can't read or help somebody with, I don't know what, but it should be involved with the kids, not that she's writing some curriculum, because I have to tell you that her curriculum was not there back in the day. That didn't come till many years later. So it annoyed me. And it annoys me because it's taking up screen time for people that are actually fighting for screen time. Okay, here's the other thing that annoyed me. The play. What was the purpose of the play? for Fiona, because Fiona could have come back and done something totally different. Didn't have to be like that. The play took screen time away. I loved it, thought parts of it were funny, but it took screen time away from too many characters that've got 4 minutes here and 4 minutes in the next episode and who we haven't seen for weeks. Too nope to the no, to the no, no, no. It annoyed me. So the curriculum annoys me, the play annoys me. And the other thing that really annoyed or outraged me was, let's talk about who's had the most screen time this season. Elizabeth, Aaron, and she should because she's the lead. And Pascal, because she normally does, right? And what else? Who else after her? I think that Kevin and Allie, Kevin and Jada, or let's not say the real names, Nathan and Allie, they're up there with a ton of screen time. Then you finally get maybe Bill. Then maybe what comes next is people fighting for stuff. You got Lucas fighting with Joseph for some screen time, and Lee. Then after them comes, like, we haven't seen Molly, I think's had the least amount of screen time for the adults. I have to throw Allie in there, even though she's a child, but she's taken up a ton of screen time before the other adult storylines. I just don't get this. I don't get it. Henry, where in the world's Henry been? He's had Mike and May, Faith, and don't tell me because she's pregnant, because Andrea has been on heavy duty storylines when she was pregnant. So when you got people fighting for screen time, they could have gone better with the story. They really could have. They spent too much time on certain things. There are certain things I love, but these are just my opinions and how I would roll it out differently. Okay. Let's see what you have to say, because I have some observations I wanted to mention. They are drinking margaritas in the writer's room. Allie is too much of her this season. They're trying to bring in younger viewers. I don't know. Rosemary always has. She does. Always has, though. Like it's definitely Erin and then Rosemary always. And then I'm looking at like Allie and Kevin coming up next. Bill. And then after Bill, we got people fighting for, like, we got Lee, and after Lee, there's like Lucas with Mike, and Henry is way down there. Joseph, Minnie's down there. Flo and Ned are down there. But yeah, too bad Allie isn't graduating this year. She needs to go away to college and get the heck out of Hope Valley. No Ned, Flo, Henry. Yes. Don't forget, I did, Martha. Yeah, and it is definitely unstructured or unbalanced. So, with that said, I wanted to say that they hear us. They do. Because we constantly were saying, I feel like they hear us, but they don't know how to implement what it is that we are wanting. Some of us, most of us, a large number of us, let's say. Hot springs. We kept mentioning the hot springs. Now they finally threw in the hot springs. And we wanted to see children. And now they're showing us more of the children, but we want to see them in actual storylines, not like two kids taking over and every now and then to sprinkle here and there. I want to see Elizabeth in the classroom with her kids. So they do listen to us. We wanted, I don't know. I feel like they don't know how to roll it out. Those are just my opinions. And whenever I disagree, then they don't let people come on the show. And on my podcast, which I think is funny when people disagree. You should be able to take constructive criticism. I'm not saying anything about the actors. They are great. I am just saying the writing and yet the writers are good. Like Allie did a whole bunch of wonderful things in this story. However, the cohesiveness of this episode, again, I can't say this enough. Stop trying to make the storyline of the Garrison gang and this gold go through 12 episodes. Instead, knock it out in like 3 or 4. Get it done, move on to the next one. It's just not working because we get 2 seconds of it and then we don't see anything for like apparently days in Hope Valley, and then a little bit more, and that's just not realistic and it's silly. Do you think they have Elizabeth talk to Fiona for the writers to give Lucas fans some closure and for her to take responsibility for the breakup? Only time we've heard her take responsibility. Yes, they listened, but it was not done in a way that I was okay with it. It annoyed me. It looked good on paper. What? No, that even goes against what she was saying of why she chose Lucas and not Nathan. Like she said she chose him because, he was a safer choice because her heart could break and he had which his name had such a scary job and she don't know if she could do it again and blah 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 blah. And then it was look good on paper. That's weird. That to me was weird. It didn't look good on paper because I can't. I got to get away from it. I got to move on. That was weird. It's like adding salt to the wound. It sure was. I'm glad they wrapped up the play. I thought that would drag on longer. I still don't know why it was there. I love them adding fun stuff, but they should have rolled it out differently. Not when people are fighting for screen time. The Canfields shouldn't be taking so long to tell their story. Let me go back to the storylines, Lillian, that you were mentioning. Next is Buried Treasure. So next episode in 9 is when the Garrison gang comes and Allie and Oliver are in danger, and Rosie discovers something about Ava, and Angela goes off to visit a college. And it is cold, and it's fall time, okay? Next up is the next episode, which is 10, and that's called Through the Valley. Mike and May throw a big harvest party, and Elizabeth helps Emily find her purpose, and that big land dispute around McGinty's meadow seems to escalate. It's the one that Lucas was trying to resolve, forever, okay? Well, not forever, just in the past, I don't know, 3 episodes. And then 11 is Having Faith. Little Jack falls ill, and Mike and May race for meds, and the kids do a baseball game on the radio. And the last episode is called Must Be Gold, and that's when they have the graduation. That's when N and E, Nathan and Elizabeth plan what they're going to do for the summer. And then that's when that race comes in, when Lucas teams up with Edie and they race Bill and Rosemary to find the gold. So it is the fall now, and it usually is. And we usually end, not always, but often we've ended where it's like, coming up to spring, summertime. So the timeline was a little different, I think the last season, because they picked up exactly where they left off and they shifted it up a little. So if that answers any of your questions, I hope it does. I think Elizabeth needs to find herself. The writers think she has, and she's extremely happy in finding herself. She's branching out and has courage to write her curriculum and to be Diane and sing. That they see it as okay. They're okay. Now you have to know that a lot of the people that are here in this chat lean very much towards Lucas and wanted that relationship between Lucas and Elizabeth, but we know that is gone, and that they think in their eyes that they're doing a good job, that Elizabeth has found herself and she's extremely happy and content and giddy and girl-like. Yes. No, Lillian, there isn't a baseball game in the fall and the winter. The baseball game comes after the fall harvest, so it would be what would be an early spring. Yes, we've been in the fall for a while. Yes. No. And it does come in that time, around the early spring. Let's see. Lucas has gotten the short end of the stick the last 2 seasons, even though he acts wonderfully. So Melissa Gilbert will be back this coming episode with a disappointing guest appearance, no real story, and so much time in between. I've forgotten who her character was. Yes, they're friendly bringing her back. Teachers writing letters, they don't need permission and will do it anyway. Were the writers telling us they don't need our permission? The numbers Lucas gets carries weight regardless. No, I don't think that's what they were saying. I wish Allie would go on to college or her grandparents. No, she's a fan favorite of the writers, so I'm sure she'll be around for a while doing her thing. Um, Lillian. Lillian, I'm getting annoyed now, Lillian. Yes. They always jump ahead. They always move along. Like whenever it's the year they go through the seasons. So it's fall, it's fall and cold now. They're in their coats. And yes, some kind of harvest party. And then they're going to go into, I guess, the spring. I don't know. I don't care, actually. I don't care how that works at all. The only thing that what bothered me was I thought it was strange that they had them graduate and then had a harvest party, because I was like, wait a minute. And I went back and it was a fall. I forget how it was worded. And then all of a sudden Hallmark came out and said, no, they were out, and they were out of order. Um, Martha says, no wonder none of the writers get terrified now. I'm not sure, Martha. I think it's a typo. I prefer to see someone like Edie with Lucas have to say Edie has been a bit more honest with Lucas more than Elizabeth was. Again, that's how they write how they're writing her. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to make that mistake again. It seems like it seems like, I don't know. They don't want to make that mistake again. No wonder the writers do not get interviewed. No, they do. They get interviewed by people who love the writing and say the writing's fantastic. Yay, we love it. You're a genius. This is great, and all that other stuff. And they get interviewed. Yeah. Why are they worried about curriculum when Elizabeth is hardly shown in the classroom? That's what I mean, Avis. They could have gone about it differently. They're going to skip Christmas and LJ's birthday. Oh, they haven't celebrated LJ's birthday in a long time, and they do skip Christmas. They haven't talked really about Christmas in forever. The only time they talked about Christmas wasn't even really Christmas. It was the year that Mike was mayor and he wanted to have to cheer everybody up. Like all the different holidays was celebrated at one time to bring in everybody's heritage and whatnot. Remember that? And I remember in the sneak peeks, I was like, why do we see Hanukkah? And then we also see this and that. Didn't make sense to me. Like the behind the scenes, they don't show that anymore. That was a few seasons ago. So that was fun. Yeah. Remember? And Bill was hopped up on cough syrup, and he had the April Fools, but he fooled everybody and made a Christmas tree come up and all. That was cute. Um, let's see. Caroline says, as for Elizabeth and Nathan, let's just leave those two together. They are. I don't think they're going anywhere at all. For me, the simple scenes that bring heartfelt moments are the ones that resonate. The extra stories fizzle through. Fizzle, though. Okay, though, you said. They have too many main storylines that it's very confusing to me. They need to settle them more quickly and go on with something different. Yes, Hope Valley Days. Remember that, Martha? That was it. Yes. And they had Halloween and everybody sponsored something different, and I thought that was cute. So that is my take. I am looking forward to every episode. There are so many things that I do love. That is why I went first and talked about all the things I love. There were some things that I loathed. And again, if they do listen to us, I wish that they would understand that they have to sit down and rethink how they're telling these stories, to stop with trying to take one story and make it a long story, because it doesn't work, and get it resolved. Come up with like 3-4 big stories and make those the episodes. 3 episodes. Come up with 4. 1, 2, 3. Get it done. 4, 5. 4, 5, 6. Get it done. Divide it. 12 episodes. 4 big storylines. 3 episodes each. Something like that, because it's better and it doesn't drag on like this has been dragging on. And that's my opinion. All right. Do the writers ever get called out by their superiors if their writing's bad? Here's the thing. How can they get called out? Because they write what the showrunner says. It's not like something was written and nobody saw it, right, Teresa? So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure what goes on behind closed doors is a different story and they do rewrites. But by the time stuff comes out, I mean, it's all been approved by your showrunner. How did we trend on Sunday? We did. We didn't get double digits that I know of. Let's see. It takes me a minute to bring up my my calculator, but let's see. I totally agree with you, Roxanne, about the storylines. Thank you, everyone. Good podcast. Okay, that makes sense. I think the curriculum getting published is a throwback to her book getting published, and the first with Lucas, and now encouragement from Nathan, which is fine. Which is fine, and I think that's fine, but it does not need to take up the storyline like it did. It could have been a piece of something even bigger with more people involved, not when people are fighting for screen time. We haven't seen Joseph and Minnie, we haven't seen Henry. We haven't seen, I know, okay, Mike and May had a big storyline, so now this season they're not going to have a big storyline. No, that doesn't work for me. I think you could still tell stories differently, especially if that were the case. If Mike and May was all about their love and getting together, and now we're not going to see much of them because we saw so much of them last season. Well, this season, then you should have some big storylines that really need to have all that screen time, not filler stuff. Not one whole episode that was a filler that did not drive. You know what my editor would have said to me? His name was Joe. One of my favorite editors' name was Joe. And Joe would have said to me with his Irish accent, Roxanne, he has this little Irish accent. He would have said to me, this whole chapter, take it out. Because if it does not advance the storyline, I don't care how much razzle dazzle and how much you love that scene or that chapter, it doesn't belong there. Must advance storyline. And it really did not, that one episode. All right. I'm looking up my what the trending for you. I think last time I looked, it was like 5,000 or something, and that was for Lucas or Chris. It's funny that Lucas and Chris McNally, Lucas Bouchard and Chris McNally usually have close to the same numbers, but I don't know exactly. It'll take me a while, and I'm talking. And if you want, I'll come back and I'll publish it here. One last question, Roxanne. Oh no. Carolyn. This question. Okay. One last question, Roxanne. Do the ratings include Hallmark Plus on Mondays? That's when I see the show. The ratings don't include anything like that. Ratings, listen, I don't know how I can say that. I don't care how people are construing it. I'm going to say this. This is so important. Ratings have to do with ad revenue, how you make money from ads, okay? So ads are on cable TV and networks. There are some tiered streaming systems that run ads on them, and that's a different story, and just let's park that to the side. But ratings come from cable TV and major networks these are paid people. Paid people, Carolyn, not you, not me, unless you are working for Nielsen. They pay you to watch TV, and it clocks in what you're watching, and they can't be the average person or a whole big giant group of people, because they got to know who's watching the show. Because if it's boys that are watching the show, they're not going to then put on ads that have to do with feminine hygiene, okay? Because it's for boys, and I don't mean to be graphic. And if it's women that are in their 30s that are watching the show, they're not going to put in there like geriatric medicine. Do you know what I mean? So they need to know about the ads, and the ads cost money, and this is how a show makes money. Okay, that's what ratings are for. People throw that term around. I know there's people out there posting stuff like, oh, but now things are changing. There's all streaming. That's not ratings. That is viewership. And viewership, the easiest way for me to explain viewership is this. Let's say that you are Bridgerton. I used this before. And you are on the Netflix. And Netflix, this is how they make their movie, from people who buy subscriptions. And they like to see which shows have the most views, because shows that have the most views, they might have a sponsorship with somebody else for something. They can sell it to another overseas. But it also attracts people to watch the show. So Bridgerton season 1 had something like 113 million views. That is viewership. That's because somebody's watching it over and over and over and over and over again. That is different. That is not ratings. That is not ad revenue. And it does not bring in money. The only way streaming brings in money is if it's a tiered streaming system that runs ads. Otherwise, the only way it brings in money is if you pay for the subscription. And if you pay for the subscription, you can watch something 1942,000 times. It doesn't make more money. It just shows that something's popular. Now, yes, Nielsen does collect from them, but you have to understand there's a little side note. Nielsen collects ratings or for certain for certain streaming systems, not all. And it's streaming systems that are connected to ad revenue, not your typical. So when they're saying that live plus this plus that, that's viewership. And I don't know if it counts in how many times you watch it, because I don't know what they're collecting, if they're collecting from Hallmark, if they're collecting from wherever. That's my long-winded answer. I hope that you understand it. It's just something that, if you notice, Hallmark posts nothing about ratings. They don't post the ratings to The Way Home. They don't post the ratings to a TV show, to a movie that pops. There's only one person that posts ratings about any show, and that's for When Calls the Heart, and it's not Hallmark that does it. Now, Hallmark might come out at the end of the year, put an article out and say they were the number one. The Way Home was the number one watched scripted cable show. You know, they might come out with something like that, but that's not, they don't ever do ratings. Remember what I'm telling you. Only one person does ratings and viewership for one show, and it's not Hallmark that's doing it. Why do you think they now have a co-showrunner for Lindsay? They had last year too. It's a big job. You need one. Why are they copying scenes? Who knows? I totally agree with you, Roxanne, about the storylines. Thank you, everyone, and good podcast. Okay. What happened to Jed and Molly? I don't know. They're having dinner. One last question. There's that. Okay. Lucas Bouchard, 300 Chris McNally over 6. The total is, yeah. All this writing, yes, for season 12 happened months ago. You are correct. Do you think they'll get a season 13? Yes. I'm late for the party, which is so irritating. I didn't realize it was already time for you. Yeah, and you could go back and watch it post, and we've been over an hour. So if you want to leave, that's fine. I understand we've been there for a long time. Oh, yes, the Andrea game. How many times did Faith or Andrea have to go into a scene and cover up her bump? How many times? And she did it with like a jacket. She did it with the scene just showing her up here. She did it with a coat. How many times? Oh, Cindy, you got it first. Good girl. Yes, very good. Very, very good. Cindy got it. I will mark you down, Cindy. Let me put you down now. All right. Thank you. Bracelets. We have a Chris McNally bracelet, and we did this through the Chris McNally fan page. So if you want to get off because you're not interested in it, that's okay. And we did a trivia every month. And the reason why I'm saying this, I happen to have it in front of me. I know you always nail it, Teresa said to Cindy. And we would ask a question around some of his movies or his shows, and you would get a charm. The first charm that you won, you would get a bracelet. It was like a metal bangle. Let's see if I can reach over to, I don't have one for you to see. And they would slip on. And he's been in other things, and I have some other charms, and I know some people want them because they ask for them. So we have a limited amount. Like I don't know if you can see this, but this is for, hold on, my chubby fingers. This here is a little handcuffs. Do you see that? We've got handcuffs for tip line. This one looks just like, remember he was the elf? We have when he dressed as the reindeer. We also have, these are what the other ones are like. So they have a snowflake. We have, they're not all enamel. We have a sail into love with a sailboat. We have, because he is a foodie, so we have the foodie. We have the one where he's a mixologist, but it also goes with that special drink that they had in the newer show, Christmas one, Holiday Crashers, but we have a Christmas tree for that. And we have a ghost, and we have a teacup, and we have a cool typewriter for his typewriter in heaven. And guess what we have? We have this one I love. Now, we also had his birthstone, but we don't have those anymore. We also have his little girl. All right. Anyway, those are going out to some people. Yes. The charms are so cute. Well, it goes on a better bracelet. I got a better loopy bracelet instead of a bangle. Yes. She tried to hide it with a clipboard. Oh, yes. We got that too. Yes. Did you get my message? I did, Nikki. Trivia party. That's the 27th, Thursday, Avis. Yes, we don't have a link for that, but we will. And we're going to do outfits that Chris wore in different movies, like articles of clothing. And I'm also including in some quotes, some dialogue and quotes. All right. Thank you. Good night. I'm tired. Thank you for tuning in to everything about Hallmark. Do I need an outro? Chat with Roxanne. If you are a The Way Home lover, that's tomorrow at 8:00 with Kathy and me together. Good night, everyone.